Hue Views, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
You have the honor of being episode 50.
I saw that. I'm so excited. I was like, oh, next one's up 50.
Would you like to introduce yourself and give us a little bit of a background on who Hue Views is?
Sure. I guess the easiest thing is to say I am a tactile artist. I really enjoy making things with my hands. I do digital stuff mainly for everydays. Actually, today is everyday 1200 for me. I have not started. But I still have time. It's only 11:30 here, so I've got some time still.
And it's Pi Day.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So I can take that into consideration. Yep. Ideas are already flowing. But yeah, I love making paper collages. I started in photography. So yeah, it's like a mix of everything. And I do a lot of video work and stuff for transcription. So yeah, I'm kind of all over the place, I guess, in a way, but I make it all work and come together. It feels like sometimes.
Tactile artist, that's like anything you do with, like, physically, is that?
Yeah. It's like anything, that's how I look at it, like with my hands or anything like that.
I have a special love for creating things, so I want to hear all about it.
All right. I don't actually know where to start on that end. I started making, doing cross stitch and stuff, probably when I was between 8 and 10. So definitely pre-teens. It's been 30 plus years. I actually have one of the first things I ever cross stitched.
Wow. Oh, amazing.
It's a little lamb. It went into a coaster that my mom had, and she's like, it's falling apart here, please fix this. I haven't fixed it yet, but I do have it still. But yeah, I love making, like, recreating people's works, which I know Luke has a pixel broker that from just like, it's almost been a year, which is insane to me. But yeah, you just want to see stuff. My cyber broker that I made. Yeah, she's one of my favorites.
She is amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, I need to get her in a frame still. She's still just floating around on fabric. Hey, there it is. And I actually made Josie's like number 1, and
wow,
kind of spoiler, I guess. I get to like potentially send that to her soon, so I'm very excited about that.
That's a super big deal.
Yeah, no, for sure. Because actually, she last March, so this time last year, she did a contest, and she had like 600 different submissions from artists, and she picked 5 of them, and I was one of those 5. And we may or may not know that Josie had another baby, so she got busy. Didn't have much time on her hands
to do that.
Yeah, exactly, which is totally completely understandable. But literally like 2 or 3 days ago, she reached back out and was like, hey, do you want to do this? So I'm excited. Like, I got to brainstorm with her the other day, so I'm very excited to get started on that one. That's my next project, so super excited.
That's
so a little bit of new information that I really haven't been able to share with anybody. So that's exciting to me.
Hot off the press.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So what are you doing with her there?
Well, she wanted 5 different artists to. Originally, there was a different idea of like her giving us AI prompts, and then we were going to create it in our own style. But then when we started chatting, she was like, "What if you do this?" And I was like, "Oh, I like this." I'm not going to say too much what this is, but. We just started going back and forth, and I'm just very excited that it's going to be an embroidery piece, not just going to be an embroidery piece that's going to have a few different elements from the cyber brokers in it, which I absolutely love the cyber brokers. So, I'm just excited to be able to mix and match some of those parts and pieces and do my own thing on it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, the collaborations are coming. You did a collaboration with Lapin Mignon, didn't you?
I did. Yeah, we actually did a watercolor. So I roughly sketched out a little playground and I painted like half of it, and then I mailed it to her, she did the rest of it, and then she listed it and put it up. And then a guy purchased it, and we love him. Like, he actually has the physical now. James, he is like, yeah, it's so good. I still can't believe that happened, because I want to say that's almost been 2 years ago. But yeah, like I just met her. I met you. I met Luke through Lapin, like doing the spatial things and stuff. So, yeah, she was one of my first like intros into the space. Honestly, when I was like, oh, people can do like watercolor, and like it's quote unquote allowed, like it's not just all digital. And I was like, oh, okay, like I can make that work for me. Like that's what I like to do. I like to make that kind of stuff. So yeah, it was amazing to get to work with her too. And have you met her?
Yes.
Right? Yeah. Like, she just seems like the sweetest person. One day, hopefully I'll be able to meet her.
She is. And she's not that far from me. She's about an hour and a half, and she lives in the same town as my sister-in-law. So
that's awesome. That's so fun.
I keep threatening to pop round for tea, and I'm definitely going to do it one of these days.
I was going to say, I'm sure it's not a threat. I'm sure she'd be like, come on over anytime.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, because we met in the spaces. I think we were waiting around, and we got onto random stories about dolphins and gangs.
Yeah, gangs of dolphins. That's what happens, We just sit around and talk for a little while.
Yeah, I don't even remember what it was about exactly.
You were talking about a vacation. I think you had just gotten back from a vacation, and you had seen some dolphins jumping around. And I don't know why you said gang of dolphins, but it was the funniest thing to me. So I was like, yeah, gang of dolphins. That's what we're calling it from now on. So yeah, daily inspiration. That's what that was.
Oh yeah, and you made a daily of it. Yeah.
Yeah. It was my first time like trying to draw anything related to dolphins. So that was just funny. That was fun to do.
So how did you find out about the NFT space?
Through my husband, Bananakin, who was in the hospital for a while. He battled cancer, and he kind of found out about it through TikTok, I'm pretty sure. And he was like, and this was probably 2018 is when he was in the hospital. So yeah, it was probably 2019, somewhere around there. And I was like, absolutely not. It's a scam. I'm super suspicious of everything, anything. I'm like, no. And then he did it, and it was wild. I'm like, oh wow. Like, I'm glad to see he was getting recognition for the work that he's been doing for years. So that was just really cool to see. And I was like, oh, okay. He's like, see, that's when he introduced me to Lapin. And then I saw Christy Glass's work. And then Stella Bell, which I was like, oh, she makes like crazy weird things. Like, I like this. Like, she just puts whatever she wants out there. And I was inspired by that. He showed me Josie. I'm starting to realize he showed me all the women artists that I look up to now. I'm like, wait a second, there was planning in this.
There's so many amazing women artists in this space.
Yeah, there really is, and it's like, I don't need lists to be, like people to be part of. Like, it's just really cool to. And Lapin, like I said before, she was definitely a huge inspiration and a huge pull for like being like, oh, okay, these people are embracing it. These people seem a little sane. Like, I can get behind that. So yeah, I joined, I want to say, actually this month might be my third year, my first mint. Because I think it was in March 2021. But yeah, it was like one of my dailies that we just messed around with and animated a little bit. And it was like, I put it up on Rarible. I remember that. And then I let it sit for a while, and I was like, I don't know if I'm going to do anything else anymore. But I've had a great time, honestly, like with the past 3 years. It's been wild, even with getting completely, I'm not trying to say scammed, but like Bananakin had all of his wallet completely drained. This was a couple years ago. I was at the dentist and came back, and he's like, wait a second. I'm at 0. So like everything had been taken. And then it was like, do we do this? Do we keep going? Like, it was like, that was one thing they hadn't taken, right? It was like the creative stuff that we could do.
Mm-hmm.
And we were like, we can keep putting creative stuff out there. Like, the money's gone. Like, it's okay. Our NFTs are still there. Like, we still have we still have our brains to make the stuff, so we just kept pushing through. I mean, it was a really, really hard time. Like, everything was gone. Like, every piece of ETH was just like wiped. Like, oh yeah, I want to say like I don't know if the Rari or anything like that. I don't know. It was just wild. It was a wild time. But
so do you know how that happened? Like, did you manage to find out?
No, it might have. Yeah, no. I honestly have no idea. I don't think he says he didn't click a link. There might have been some software thing. I don't really know. But yeah, I'm like I said, I'm already super suspicious as it is, and so even now, like even now, I'm like, is this how Luke gets me? Like, is he about to like scam me for everything? Like, no, Luke, like his face is out there, like it's just like clicking on any link, right? Like anything. I'm like, don't click on a link. He just finished up a big project with somebody. I'm like, make sure that there's no link. Don't download anything. It's just hard, but it's such a good community. Like, when those people, when you can like push those people aside and like, no, not everybody's a bad person out there. So,
no. Yeah. And you can always resort to, don't email me. Here, I'll send you my address. Oh no,
yeah.
That doesn't work.
Right. Yeah. Like I've sent mail to some people. Like, I make physical things, so I'm like, hey, do you have a post office box? Like, don't give me your home address, but
yes.
yeah,
that's something I've been recommending for years. Like, if you're doing things in the space that involves physically sending or receiving, get a PO box. I've had one because you just never know.
Yeah, no, it's so true. It's so true. I mean, even if you're ordering a t-shirt or whatever it is you're ordering from an artist to print, like, yeah, you just want to make sure like you're safe. I don't know. It's just like, because I made I don't know what, this is a circle. I made a hoop. I'm like, what am I doing? I made a hoop for Neon Glitch because he made my cyber broker into an avatar. So I get to wander around as my actual cyber broker, like on cyber and all that stuff. So I stitched his grifter and I was like, can I send it to you? And he was like, yeah, I'm moving in a few months, so you're good. I'm like, thank you for the trust for a few months. No, I've sent him stuff since, but it's just funny. I'm like, thank you for that trust. I will not come over there and do anything.
So your community, you've got quite a big community, and you hold spaces every week. Like, how did that come about? How did you meet that lot? What's the sort of thread that ties everything together?
Sorry, I'm like, is it a big community? I enjoy that community so much. That actually came from somebody saying like, hey, we should just do a space. And I was like, terrified. I'm like, no, I don't even want to get on there and like, I don't want to talk. So that's why I was like, when you were like video, I'm like, oh no, this is like a whole nother level.
But you're the leader. You're the leader of the community.
oh yeah. No, that's just because I make the space every week. No, the Hang Gang. The Hang Gang is what we're called, I guess you could say. It was actually Eclectic Method, which is so crazy for me to say. Feels to say Eclectic was like, the wives should start something, like, because he's got a great wife, Maria. She's amazing. Neon Glitch's wife is funny. Like, she is just a funny person. So we were all getting on and talking, and then they all started coming on and taking over. We're like, what are you doing, guys? So it's just cool to like have Eclectic and all his personalities with Richard and all the regulars that he voices. And that is how I met Darvid. That's how I met, Darvid, Trisha. I just like all those regular characters. They're just like, knowing that there's people behind them and like the random stuff that goes on. Like, and Eclectic Method is on another level to me. Like, his brain works in just so like, I don't know how he does it. Like, with the voices, with the coming up with stuff, with the mixing the music. Like, I like I said, I have a degree in audio, and I don't know how he makes his stuff work all the time, because his brain is just, I look up to him so much when it comes to that stuff, like how quickly he turns stuff around. But yeah, it's also very strange to me that is part of my community. Like, those people are like some of my closest friends when it comes to like being able to like reach out to them and stuff. So it's crazy to me still.
So how long has that been going on?
Probably 5 or 6 months, maybe. We do it every Friday. Maybe probably not even that. It just feels like a lot longer. But mainly it's just like me and Darvin just yelling at each other a lot. And then like Chaz pops in often, and I just have a disdain for Chaz, apparently. That's just my thing with him. I'm like, Chaz, just calm yourself. It's just fun to go in there and just like chat. There's a girl in there, Rosie, and she is a artist by night, I guess I would call her. Like, but she doesn't really do NFTs, but she's very much into the community. Like, she does a regulars community and stuff like that. But yeah, hanging is like a nice little break in my day. Like that, it happens every Friday, so it's just like I know I'm gonna get to decompress, even if I'm feeling sick or whatever. That's my time to be like, okay, let's just talk about whatever. We don't talk NFTs. We don't talk. Well, I try to keep people away from shilling. That's why it's like so hard for me to talk about this now. I'm like, I try not to do this. But like it's just nice to just talk life. Like just get on and talk about what's been going on in life. I enjoy it. Like they're just a weird group of people, and that's like the coolest part to me. Like how many people just come in.
Feel like a very larger than life thing.
Yeah, it is. And you're like, wait, who are you connected to? Because I feel like you're doing a voice for somebody else, and like you're doing that voice, and so many people are asking me like, who's this? Like Brian Brinkman, when I just saw him at the beginning of this month, didn't know who Chaz was, and I was like, I'm just not gonna tell you because I don't know. He thought it was eclectic, and I'm like, it's not eclectic, and that's all I'm saying. Like that's it. It's not him. But yeah, it's funny to me how much these people are taking on top of running actual lives. And like, I know most of them have kids, and I'm like, how are you doing all of this? So yeah, I love that little group. And I love when people stop in. I love like, Luke, when you came in, it was so good. I'm like, oh, here we go. Now he's going to actually get to know who I am. Oh no. So.
Well, that's the thing I think that I've appreciated, because I've been in the Web3 space since the beginning of 2018. So it's been a bit, right?
Oh,
but
wow,
like,
yeah.
Time is super weird. It doesn't feel like that long, and it also feels like forever at the same time. And it sounds like you kind of have that same experience too. But the thing that I think makes it really special, and it sounds like you found this too, is like you can find your people, and you don't have those restrictions of like, who can I go out into the world and actually like physically find? Because here we just sort of gravitate to each other, and like you can have all of these adventures even if you're not ever really leaving your house.
That is so true. That's such a great way to put it. Like, you just find your people, and like those people introduce you to new people, and you're like, oh wow, like I get to, even if we never meet, right? Like I feel like I know some of these people really well. Like I have outside conversations, like not in the hang gang and stuff too with some of them. So it's just a really cool bonding experience, I guess. Like everybody's going through the same stuff, but totally different avenues of it, right? Like not everybody's selling NFTs. Not everybody's doing the same artwork. When Neon Glitch tells me about the project he's working on, I'm like, I don't understand what you're talking about. Like him and Banana can do relatively the same thing with, but not. So when he's talking to me, I'm like, I thoroughly enjoy hearing about the behind the scenes stuff. And I'm like, let me show you this picture of this thing that I'm making. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's such a totally different experience, but I enjoy that so much about like just hearing what everybody else is talking, like what they're working on before it gets shown. You're like, oh, now it's all making sense. Like this is what you've been doing. I don't know. I really enjoy that like element to it, I guess.
It's a very welcoming little diamond of a community. And actually coming in on a Friday night, well, because it's Friday night for me when it's running. Is actually one of the things that my wife has joined in on, and
that's I'll have amazing.
She'll come upstairs. I'll have it going on my phone. It's like we've kids in bed, and we've got a bottle of wine open.
That's so good. Oh yeah, I forgot about the drinking game.
The drinking game.
Yeah, Luke comes in and he was like, "We've picked a word, and we're not going to tell you the word. We're taking a sip every time you said it." I don't remember what we were talking about. Honestly, it doesn't even matter because nobody probably knows. And then we just started guessing. We were like, oh, is this the word? Is this the word? So we were saying every word like 12 times in a row. We're like, Luke, are you guys drunk yet? Are you drunk yet? And then Darvin, I just remember Darvin just saying it over and over again. Oh my gosh. What a time. What an absolute time. It was so fun. I'm like, I just like to see who pops in. Like 9 cats popped in a couple times. I'm like, oh no, this is too much pressure, y'all. Like, everybody be on your best behavior. Please. Please.
Okay, everyone listening this Friday. Follow Hue Views.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, don't. Yeah, it's so wild to me. It's so wild.
What a fun space, though. And like, that's super cool because you get to have these experiences and like meet these people that you otherwise wouldn't have been able to. And now you're doing collaborations, you're building things together. You are, I guess my question here, because there's a question in this, I promise. But like, because you said you have an audio degree and like, could you have imagined doing these types of things before? Because this is, for me, like stuff that I'm like, in my wildest dreams would not have thought about some of the things that, we're doing is reality.
Yeah, no, it's true. Because like, even if you're doing your own freelance audio or whatever, you're still working for somebody mainly, right? Like you're doing it for somebody else. Like this is like, I get to come up with the ideas. We get to come up with the ideas. If we don't like it, it doesn't go further. If we do like it, it goes, it morphs, it changes. And I love the fact that you have been doing this for so long. And like, it was funny when you're like, yeah, we don't do it. This is the first time with video. You're like, no. Like, what are you talking about? I've got this. It's just so good to like, everybody's got their thing, right? But it's not just a thing. I don't know. I don't want to call it like one singular. The fact that you've been doing this for so long though is just so cool to me. Like, I love that.
Just accidentally fell into all of this is what happened. And it kept like, evolving essentially, where I'm like stuff that I used to just like sort of dabble in as a hobby. I'm like, I can string it together in a way that actually makes sense in this space. I'm like, what are the odds of that?
I know, that's so good. Like, make it work for you. Like, that's essentially what I've been trying to do. Like, okay, like it's the same thing with like learning about Lapin and the physical. You're like, how does the physical work on the blockchain, right? Everything is so reliant on the blockchain, and that's what everybody wants to talk about is the blockchain, and that's fine. But like, how do you also say like, hey, I have this and I can hold this, and like that's an element that's like was hard for me to wrap around at first originally. Like, but yeah, it's cool to make it like make your hobbies into your work, which is also a bad thing too, I'm sure. But like when you can make it work for you and keep it as a hobby as well. Like I am still shocked that it's day 1200 today for me for an everyday. Like I sometimes stress out about it. I used to set super limitations to myself, like, because my very first job was in photography. I developed film and I printed film, and I was like, I'm never going to use just a photo. Like, I was never going to use just a photo as an everyday. And I was like, what? Just a photo? Like, it's a photo. Oh no. Did my camera just stop?
Oh, that was wild. We had the retro, sorry. Like no screen though. How fun.
Yeah, it was my actual. I'm using my actual camera as the actual video. So yeah, sorry. I don't remember what I was saying, but
you're talking about not using just a photo, and then they're not just photos.
Oh yeah, so it's like I took it. I took the time to like. Yeah, it's. I don't talk
you
about
conceptualize, you compose it, you capture it, you do that whole process, right?
Yeah. And so it's like it's not just a photo. It's something that it's still a creative element. Like, so I over the past couple of years have kind of stepped back from that and been like, it's not just a photo. Like but even if I do no digital manipulation to it, like, which I don't usually do that much anyways, because I don't do much Photoshop, honestly. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Obviously, I use Procreate a lot. But it's just one of those things where it's like, I want, for the most part, I like for the photo to just be what it is. But I mean, I can colors and whatever is fine, but like, I just haven't, there's a couple of times where I've changed it. I'm like, oh, I like how that looks. But it's just like talking myself into it, not, like I said, not just being just a photo. So
how do you feel about AI photos?
I honestly don't have much opinion on them because I feel like it's still, for the most part, it's coming from somebody's brain. Like, you have to think of those words. I have tried Stable Diffusion. I am apparently not intelligent enough to sit down and figure out a complete thought to put into a prompt to make it make sense for the most part. I've used it for reference for projects, like a project that Banana and I are working on the past few years. I've used it to like kind of get myself in a way to conceptualize it, essentially, like to think of like, okay, this is how it could look, type of a thing. But yeah, I feel like it also like walks a line, right? Where it's like, it is art, it is that, but it's like, if it doesn't say it's AI, that's when I kind of have like where's the line there, I guess.
Well, that makes sense, right? Because when you're creating work traditionally, like people understand the medium that you're working in, it usually is pretty obvious. Right, so in that sense, AI is kind of the medium. So you should be acknowledging it as such because it's not as easy to just immediately discern.
Yeah, I do that. Yeah, thank you for putting it better than I was. And then also on the other hand, I'm like, do people don't say that they're using Photoshop? They don't, like they don't always say that kind of stuff. So it's, it's like, why call it AI? But like, also, should it be? Yeah, it's such a line still. I feel like it's so wild to think about when it comes to like, I think it's a photo. I definitely think it's a photo. It's just not for me, I guess, as of now. I'm not saying never, but it's just not I like getting out. It's my only real way of seeing the world is getting out and taking photos, because if not, I'm just like in my house or at work. So yeah, like sitting behind a computer longer just doesn't seem like much fun to me.
And are there specific types of photography that you prefer to do, or is it just kind of anything and everything?
I will have my phone with me all the time, but I love instant photos. I have two Fuji cameras. I have a wide one that I love using, and then my mini one, which is like the tiniest little photos. I absolutely love that one. But Bananakin actually got me a film developing kit for Christmas this past year. So I developed my first 2 rolls of film in, like 20 years probably, for the first time last month. So that was very exciting. And there were pictures on it from NFT NYC on the roll of film that not actually at the conference, but just like from going and being in the city and stuff. So I was like, got to relive that, like, because I had forgotten that they were on there. So if I had to pick one, I would probably pick developing and like actual like analog photo. But I love the instant nature of film. Like, I used to sell cameras. That was my first job. And that was when digital cameras were first coming out. And I kept saying, I was pushing people away from digital. I'm like, no. Like, let's stick with the film. Like, girl, this is 2003. Like, yeah, we can keep moving forward, like 2004, and like start getting on a little bit more with realizing like digital may be around for a while. So, yeah, it took me a while to make that jump though, but there's something about having that physical, like, picture, even if it's not printed, just having the negative and like just seeing it. I don't know. There's something cool about it.
Oh, and that's really interesting too, because that almost like it is a common thread between your general, I don't want to say avoidance, but non-use of Photoshop for a lot of things, because with the, instant photos, there are no changes. Like, it just is what it is. And so, it sounds like you've carried that, physical photo kind of concept into your digital as well.
Yeah, I've not looked at it like that, but yeah, you're right. Thank you. Thanks for bringing that all together for me. No, yeah, I do. Yeah, right. All of a sudden, it's like a realization. Insert light bulb overhead, please. But yeah, it's very true. I don't know. There's something about like holding something for me. Like, given I was also like, don't read anything other than physical books, right? Now I have a Kindle. It's okay.
So many books.
right? Like so many books by doing this. So yeah, it's, you change with the times, I guess. It's good though. I enjoy it. And I like having a camera in my phone, right? Like there's no reason to care. I mean, I'm literally using my mirrorless camera as my camera for this. So it's like, yes, it's great for a lot of things. It takes a lot of pictures and I love having it, but the simplicity and not having the eyes on me when I pull out a camera versus just having a phone now that people are just using it everywhere. That's kind of nice, honestly. Like, I just don't like eyes on me when I'm like out taking photos. I'm just like, let me be out in the field. Like, nobody mess with me, please. Like, I'm good. Like, I'm good out by myself.
I feel like the answer, I'm the same. I feel like the answer to that is just having like the longest zoom possible and just miles away.
Yeah, otherwise like people a creeper, though. And I'm like, please don't look at me like this. Like, oh yeah, I know. I feel like that too. And then I'm like, yeah, I also feel like a creeper, like standing over here with the zoom lens.
There's a mindset around. Have you ever done any like street photography where you're photographing people on the street? Because some people, like Lord Truffington does that with a super wide lens. And so you've got to get really close to people.
No, I would feel like I was way too much in people's business. I come from a background of having people sign waivers in production. So like using people in photos would just freak me out. Like it would be like their ear and I'd be like, oh no, they would see their ear and they would know it's their ear. And then they would come for me. So I'm just like, no, like I said, I guess I'm super paranoid and suspicious about everything. It even lands over to that.
So tell us about your everydays. Like, how did you get into that? What drew you to that? Because Bananakin does it as well, right?
He does, yeah, and he's way further ahead. So I'm just gonna say he's the one that got me into it. I started because usually I like to wait for the beginning of the year, and I actually started talking about it in a November, the year that I started, and then I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do it in December. I'm gonna start December 1st, and I'm just gonna go for it. Why wait a month? And I went completely out of my comfort zone and started with watercolor. No, I started with only photo collages from photos that I had taken.
Wow.
So I set myself I set myself super, super limitations at that time where it's like, I was cutting up, I scanned a bunch of photos and then I cut them all up. And it was just like, yeah, that's what's going to do for the first month. And then that's when I was like, okay, now I can use old photos. And then I was like, now let's do watercolors. So that it kind of helped just let me explore a lot of different mediums. Like I have never, before this, I had never really done I had never done acrylic like at all. And then Bananakin got me a giant canvas and I was like, oh no. I don't know what to do with this. Like usually my dailies are 2x2, 3x3s. Like I have paper and I'm good with that. I ended up breaking that canvas up into 28 different squares or rectangles and doing it as everydays because I was just like, I cannot do this in one piece. Like there's no way that I can figure out what I'm doing in this large of a scale. So yeah, I mean, I like the way it came out because it was definitely a way for me to like expand on like making one every day into like, oh, I can make it go bigger for like the week. And then I kind of like let it drip down is the wrong word, but like kind of let it just flow into the next week because I just did it in a grid.
Mm-hmm. And what's the initial kind of a motivation there? Like, I mean, what's the thought process behind I want to do this?
But behind the dailies?
Yeah.
I think honestly it's been just like realizing that I can do more than what I've thought I could, I guess. Because I'm not a great watercolorer. I'm not a great painter, like, but I enjoy it and I can get better over time with it. So honestly, that's been it. Because when I look back at my first watercolors, they are so dark. Like it's more paint than it was water. Knowing now, like you have to, utilize the water. It's in the name. It's growth, honestly, which is why are you doing this to me? You're making me think of so many things. There's another light bulb moment. Yeah, it's honestly just like a growth aspect of it. Like, because there's sometimes at 11 o'clock at night where I'm like, oh, like, here we go. Let me think of something. You know what? Use those emotions. Like, you want to be done with it? Use that and go with it. Because that's honestly what happens a lot of the time is like, they're emotion driven. Like, what's going on? What we've seen during the day. We go thrifting a lot. So I encounter a lot of weird people at work. I just like, I get home and I'm like telling him about stuff and I'm like, yeah, let me go do my daily real quick. Like this guy from work is really pissing me off right now. So let me think about what I can do. And yeah, it's definitely like a growth thing though. Like that's the word I feel like I want to come back to when it comes to that. Like just, yeah.
I mean, I watch Jonathan Mann, right? Song a Day.
Yes.
Man, and he lives his life in the public eye. And it's such a vulnerable thing to do.
Yes.
And you know, when you're in a good state, you know, it's great. You put that energy out. When you're having a bad time, that's public as well. And to do that,
sick of really, everything.
Yeah.
Like going because Briannick and I are actually in one of his songs. We're in one of the videos because he came to Disney. We live very close to Disney World. We got to meet him and that was just super, super cool to be like, wow, like you've been doing this a really long time. And I know his process is a lot longer than both of ours because he mints it every day. He has so many folders. He has to edit that. He makes videos. And I'm just like, let me just put this photo together. And like, so when I think about what he does every day, it's so, so, so much. Like, and I think that's incredible.
But he's got it down to such a fine art, hasn't he? He did a gerbil.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Because he did. Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
He's done both a gerbil and our theme tune. And
I love that. It's so good. It's so fun.
He's been doing the songs for 12 years now, right?
Yeah, so it's insane.
I wonder what his process looked like at the very beginning, right? Because as you're talking about growth, maybe it was, much simpler. And over time, he's grown and he's really fine-tuned it and expanded because he built up those skills and capabilities. And so, where are you going to be at 12 years? Like,
oh boy. It's so weird to think about. But yeah, maybe I'll be integrating more video.
It's when you're going to get 12-foot oil painting done in an hour.
Calm it down. Let's not go too crazy. Flash forward 12 years. But yeah, I definitely look up to like the way he does it. But the time that when we saw it, because Banana and I are actually in the back of the video, which is so funny to me because he completely improvised his song that day, and I had such a good time, just like, oh my God, like you were coming up with this, like right now, like right as you're doing it. And by the time we left, it was up. Like he had posted it and Tomato had placed a bid on it, which another amazing everyday artist. I love Tomato's work so much. The fake Tomato is their screen name. But I absolutely love Tomato stuff too. But yeah, it's such a cool, like little everyday community. Like it's not like we have like chats in the background or anything like that, which I still do have plans to like get all of us to do one on like one day. And that way, like maybe pick a theme. And that way we can all cause there's Jonathan Mann, there's Tomato, people I know, there's Cats Will Eat You, which he's been doing it longer than people, which I love that he's always saying that. And there's people, and then there's Bananakin and me. So like, and I know there's more. I know there's a ton more. I just, I don't expand. Like unless I've like seen it come up in my timeline, I just haven't seen it. But Bananakin's always talking about other people that are doing it. I'm like, there's so many people, it's just fun. It's fun to see people make stuff every single day.
Yeah. Well, if you want to gerbil theme it, feel free.
There we go. Like, all right, everybody, we're making gerbil.
The everyday gerbil.
Don't get Darvin involved in that. If that's the case, then thank God he doesn't do everydays because we would be. Whew.
He will. I feel like it's coming. It's coming.
Yeah. I do, like, because I was like wanted to do just do like a day theme, right? Like just have it. I was like, that's so broad, but I am gerbil. That could be a good one.
Is it something that you plan on doing forever, or is it just like just keep going, and then play it by ear? Or
yeah, I mean, I have no like thought of like stopping at day 3,000 or anything like that. Like it's just. I will say that when I started doing my folders, my very first day, I was like, do I do it with 3 zeros into 1? Or do I do it with 4 zeros into 1? Like, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to go with the 4 zeros into 1. So I feel like I have plans to at least get a comma in there with 2 numbers in front of it at some point. But yeah, we'll see, right? We'll see. That's as far as I planned ahead for that, I guess.
But it becomes your life work at some point, doesn't it?
Yeah, right? Like, yeah, we'll open up a studio like people did and put them all up there like that. Maybe not $69 million, though. That's so crazy to me.
Well, inflation. You've got to account for inflation.
12 years later, I definitely am. I'm thinking multiple commas in that.
Well, no, I think it's fascinating concept, the fact that doing something every day, building your skill set, building a mindset around it. The commitment is like something else. So yeah,
see, like I feel like that some days where I'm like, wow, this is a lot of work, and then other days I'm like I said, that's why when I put my stipulation on, I'm like, no, like I'm still making something. Stop. Like, yeah, I was about to do it just then. Like, well, I just post a photo.
Yeah, but you do it in anger, like, oh, bloody do it.
It's just a photo. No, not like that. I save those anger moments for the hang gang, apparently.
Which everyone's going to this week. So.
Yeah, of course, everybody will be there this time.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, we have we've been doing a collaboration together.
Yes, we have. I may or may not have it sitting here.
Oh, okay. Well, so the backstory is for this that we were going to make the censored gerbil, and Hue Views here was going to create something based on the stories that were submitted, and we had some excellent stories. So I think we should go through.
There were so many good ones.
We should do a couple of them.
So many of them made me laugh. So many.
We can read one each. Okay, we've got 3 here to read under entries. Who wants to go first?
I'll take Weird Kitties.
Okay.
Yeah, another very OG CryptoKitties community member.
I like it, and I can't wait to say this so many times. All right. Are we ready for this? Weird Kitty 1 says... There, he picked up a book with the cover Censorship Resistant Journal. With some luck, we'll find out what he actually do tomorrow. Censor Gerbil woke up beep morning in his beep beep and went to get himself some beep and a cup of beep. Then he took his beep to beep and parked outside a beep bookstore. He went inside and walked straight to the beep beep. I just really wanted to say beep a lot.
This is a perfect one for you.
Thank you for letting me stumble through that, because that was so fun.
I was hoping you were actually just going to swear the whole way through it.
I thought about it and I was like, you know what? Episode 50 might not need to get that crazy just yet.
We don't need to. We'll be censored on YouTube.
Right. Yes. What the irony is strong.
Fabulous. So then let's move on to Carla's. So from Carla McJ, we have Censored Gerbil, brave and bold, unveiled the secrets that were told, but her words were hushed, no light unfurled, the seed phrase of the crypto world. In the shadows she stood her ground, seeking truth in words profound. Silence whispered, yet undeterred. Censored Gerbil, the truth she stirred. That's a very deep poem.
It is, and I actually like that it was a poem. Like the I mean, I know poems don't have to rhyme, but the rhyming and everything was great.
Had a good cadence. I like it.
Yeah, it did. And you did great.
Oh, thank you. I practiced.
I was like, oh, dang. I was like, I should have practiced. All right, no pressure.
No pressure. Okay. Joe Waite, thank you very much for this entry. Julian, the censored gerbil, couldn't remain silent about the wrongs he saw in the world. His exposés and protests soon attracted the attention of the censors, who began to gradually unpick and unravel his life, sending him tail-spinning down the memory hole. Julian tried to shout and scream, but alas, the censored had sewn his big gerbil mouth shut. No records remain of Julian ever existing. In fact, some doubt that there was ever such a gerbil. To prevent the sedacious myth of Julian from corrupting the youth, the censors enacted harsh punishments against all who speak his name. Despite this, those who listen carefully may occasionally hear the story of Julian, the censored gerbil, whispered through the underground.
How mysterious.
I will say that one was I almost picked that one. Like that, because when we were going through them, I was like, that one's like so good. I was like, oh, that's so serious. Like, Am I ready for serious?
We've got full spectrum here. We've got hilarious. Yeah, right? We've got very cute and deep. And then we've got like, whoa.
Yeah. I was like, oh, we know what this is about.
Yeah, we yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean, great mix. Thanks everyone. Really good.
Yeah, there were a lot of good mix in there, and I enjoyed weird mixes too.
Oh, thank you. About Betsy the jerk was shaking her tail on the internet.
Yeah, that was so funny. It was so good. So good.
So we need to get onto our winner.
The
yes,
winner.
Let's.
Do you want to? Should we just roll it and then?
You should roll it.
I'm not ready for it, and I know it's coming.
Almost
say
there.
when I saw it the first, I had to watch it a couple times because I was like, "What am I watching?" But
yeah, I know. Sorry.
No, I liked it. I like things that I have to watch a couple times. The fact that I wanted to watch it again to understand was, I think, the important part.
I'm already crying laughing about it because it's so ridiculous.
Here we go. Oh, you're not going to hear it because
the headphones.
I need to pipe the audio through. I tell you what, I'll just put the headphones on the microphone, then we'll pipe it in afterwards. Okay. So the winner is
Yeah, Brian, what do you know about the censored gerbil? I see a thing here, like a story or something. You know something about it. I'm assuming you know about the censored gerbil, yeah? Oh, I remember, yeah. Okay, Brian was telling me back in the day, long time ago actually, that the censored gerbil is a very, very famous gerbil. Now, nobody knows his name, right? Yeah, nobody knows his name. So he just goes by CG, censored gerbil. Now, CG gets up to a lot with the rich and famous and shameless people. We all know who they are, but we don't know the names, yeah? Because the censored gerbil keeps it. So, it's like he has a slogan. Doesn't he have a slogan? Oh, yeah. Whatever happens in the tube stays in the tube. That's it? Yeah, that's it. That's his slogan. It's his saying, right? So that's all we know about the censored gerbil, but it's actually a thing.
So I hate to break it to you, but we couldn't hear it, and it's
I tried to signal.
Screen. Yeah, it wasn't. I don't think it's full screen.
Oh.
And now we fast forward to after it was no longer censored for them.
He's so ridiculous.
I love this. I especially love this. Does he have a slogan? Doesn't he have a slogan? Like, who are you yelling to? But I'm glad that you got the answer.
Darwin likes to yell and then answer himself often.
So
it worked out perfectly for him.
That is exactly why I was like, I need to listen to this multiple times because what is happening? It's perfect.
Yeah. Oh my God. Sorry. I'm crying from laughing again because it's every time.
And in 4.5 years, we've never had an entry like this.
It was.
Well,
we've never had a gerbil like this either. So there's that.
Yeah.
And I remember when we originally started talking about it, I was like, I had to do like the actual censored was like, it needed to happen. Like, I knew that was the thing. And I actually, where did it go? the little poster. Like I kept printing it out to make sure I was getting the right sizes and stuff. So like this has been sitting on my desk since then. Yeah, it's just like there's so many little parts and pieces. Yeah, I don't know if you can tell, but like there's like these are actually, the tubes are actually raised a little bit, so there's a little element to it where it's like they stick off just a little bit.
Oh,
the camera's a little funky, but yeah, I thank you for having me do the censored gerbil, because it was just fun and overall with all of the stories. Because wow, like you said before, the stories were like cutesy, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, we're doing Julian. Like, okay, like we are going there, which made 100% sense, right? Like just censored. Darvin was like, I entered. I was like, oh, yes, you did. Yes, you entered. You entered the tube. You entered and stayed in the tube. Yeah. So.
Well, it's an absolute masterpiece what you've created out of this.
Oh, well, totally thank you. Away. I had so much fun with it. Like, honestly, like I had this is dyed fabric that I did. And then it was just like, it was a giant puzzle, honestly. Like the whole thing was like, because this is all just different fabric that I stitched on. Yeah, I had a good time with it. It was like, because I love doing puzzles too. Surprise, surprise. But it was just like trying to work it up to that, like, what is the level that this needs to be at? To like, there were so many different like ways I was taking this, but I think it came up like describing his story as well as I possibly could, and like it's so weird, it's so crazy,
it's so good, it's so good.
Perfect.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
The production on the video and the way that you've presented it as well, and it tells the different parts of the story.
Shout out to Bananakin.
Yeah. It's a collab.
It is. Yeah, we'll say it. He was like, "Don't tell him." I'm like, "It's fine." Like he helps me out a lot with my video and stuff like that. But yeah, it's definitely. He was like, I zoomed it in and like made sure it was like would reveal itself. I was like, "Oh, this is perfect."
It's perfect.
It's
so good.
Because you really get a feel for the different parts of the story, and when it goes in on the shameless, the nameless, and shameless.
Yeah. I won't actually. Yeah. So one of them has something that they may not be having. They have a joint in their hand. One of them is having their phone, so they can just like be on their phone while they're in line. And this one's trying to get CG's actual attention. Like, hey, let me in. Yeah, and then we've got like the empty bottle of champagne that they're just like wasted and they couldn't do it. And we won't talk about what the white sherberty stuff is on the ground that he always refers to is, but for Darvin, I had to put it in.
Some
That's
things
a
are just not suitable.
Well, he always talks about sherbet, but he often talks about sherbet on the hanging. So,
well, it's amazing. So there's going to be an edition, right? An edition for everyone who's taken part, and then there's going to be a one-of-one, which comes with the original, the physical, and we're going to auction that.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So I think the plan is to auction it at NonFungible Conference in Lisbon at the end of May. And I will have it there with me, and maybe if someone there actually buys it, then they can take it home with them.
Yeah, I'm going to package it up enough that it can be repackaged and sent to whoever needs to go. But I'm excited to, I was going to say send you something, but I've already sent you one thing. I'm excited to send this so you can actually like see it and like.
I can't wait to see it. And that person, if they win the auction, they might not be able to pry it out of my hands.
Yeah, I gotta take a lot of photos of it before I send it, because I don't know, it's just wild. Like, yeah, it doesn't fit. Like, I'm not used to creating like things always based on other people's stories, so like it was cool to like rework it into something like, try to get into the brain side of like what in the world is he actually talking about, like what is actually happening. But yeah, like I had so much fun. Like, honestly, when you're like, it's censored gerbil, it's like, oh no, like, what are we gonna do on this? I immediately pictured the gerbil with like, the stars over it, and I was like, where are we going from there? So I liked once all the entries started rolling, I was like, oh, this is where we're going. This is gonna be good. So it was very fun.
Community always comes through with those stories. It's great.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's so good how you guys have that community. It's just like always ready to go and like popping in with those stories. Like creative brains are something else, honestly. Like whether it's words or photos or just artwork in general. Like I love that everybody has their own specialty.
It's nerve-wracking every time as well, because like you open it out and usually they all come in at the last minute, and so you're there going, no one's put anything in yet, and then suddenly there's loads of entries come in.
No, that's awesome. That was fun. It was like so difficult going through them all. Like I'd be like, hey, I'm gonna take this one out, and I'm gonna take this one out. Like, oh god, who's gonna go next? Like I just had to like work backwards. Like yeah, there were so many good ones. Oh, sorry, I've got tears still streaming down my face from laughing.
It is that beautiful. It's,
yeah. I'm so choked up.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. This has been really awesome. Of
course. Yeah, thank you for having me. Thanks for dealing with all my quirks, shall we say.
Oh, you're amazing.
I appreciate it.
You are amazing. Yeah.
It's been so good to talk to you both. Like, yeah, I feel like I know Luke Woodwith. When we started following each other, I was like, oh my god, this is so good. Like I said, when I saw the tweet about I'm either late 5 minutes or I'm like 15 minutes early, I was like, yeah, that's me. That is definitely me. Like I've been here for 20 minutes, but no, I don't look like I've been here for 20 minutes. I'm currently 3 minutes late. So I felt that hard.
Yeah, there's a lot of chaos that happens, but we get through it.
All is good. All is good. No, it's been really good to talk to you both. And tell George I said hello, please.
I will do. He's very sorry he can't make it today.
So. Oh, it's good. It's all good. It's probably would have been more like I would have been more shell shocked with 3 people.
Surprise!
especially a gerbil. Yeah, right. A gerbil with 2 people. I'd be like, oh. No, I do appreciate it, and thanks again for having me.